For over 27 years, one story has refused to fade: the haunting disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley. In March 1998, 23-year-old Amy boarded a Caribbean cruise with her family aboard Rhapsody of the Seas. She had just graduated from college, full of plans and energy. It was supposed to be the perfect vacation: sunshine, music, and time with her parents and brother. But that trip became a nightmare that still chills investigators today. Amy was uneasy about the ocean. She didn't like open water. It made her nervous. But she joined the trip anyway, determined to relax. The first days went smoothly. Photos show her smiling, tanning on deck, dancing at the ship's nightclub with her brother Brad. But on the night of March 23rd, everything changed. After midnight, Amy and Brad were seen dancing with the ship's band, Blue Orchid. Passengers noticed her talking to one of the musicians, a man nicknamed Yellow. They returned to their cabin around 1 a.m. Her father, Ron, woke up at 5:15 a.m. and saw Amy sitting on the balcony, smoking a cigarette, watching the sunrise. When he looked again, half an hour later, she was gone. Her shoes were still in the cabin, her lighter, her cigarettes. Nothing was missing, except Amy. The ship had already docked in Curaçao. The Bradleys begged the crew to make an announcement, to stop passengers from leaving. But the captain refused, saying it was too early to cause panic. By the time authorities were called, hundreds had already walked off the ship, including anyone who might have taken her. The Bradleys searched every deck, crying out her name. But Amy had vanished without a sound into thin air. The U.S. Coast Guard searched the ocean for days. Nothing. Local police combed the island. Still nothing. It was as if she'd never existed. But then, witnesses started coming forward. A Canadian tourist claimed she saw Amy walking on a Curaçao beach days later, with two men. The woman said Amy looked frightened, as if she wanted to speak, but couldn't. When the tourist tried to approach, one of the men glared at her, warning her to stay away. That sighting reignited hope. Amy's parents flew to every island, searching bars, beaches, and brothels. They plastered her face on posters across the Caribbean. Then came another shocking claim. A U.S. Navy sailor said he met a woman in a Caribbean brothel who whispered, "My name is Amy Bradley. Please help me." Before he could react, she was pulled away by armed guards. He reported it, but when investigators arrived, she was gone. Years later, in 2005, a photo appeared online. A woman named Jas, found on a site connected to human trafficking. The woman had Amy's same tattoos, eyes, and features. Even the FBI called the resemblance disturbingly similar. But despite endless searches, the photo's origin was never confirmed. The Bradleys never gave up. They sold their home, drained their savings, and kept the investigation alive. Their daughter's name became a global symbol of hope and horror. Then, decades later, a new lead appeared. In March 2024, a Michigan engineer named David traveled to Barbados for vacation. One evening, at a crowded beach bar, he noticed a woman sitting alone, wearing a green sundress, her long hair braided down her back. She looked nervous. On her shoulder, a small turtle tattoo, the same tattoo Amy had. David sat nearby, made small talk about the sunset and the music. She smiled politely but kept glancing around as if being watched. When she asked him to take her photo, he did. But the moment he handed her phone back, she quickly hid it in her bag. Something about her reaction stayed with him. Weeks later, back home, he watched a true crime documentary about Amy Bradley and froze. It was her. The same tattoo, the same face, even the same nervous mannerisms. He immediately contacted the FBI. Agents flew to Barbados, retracing his steps and pulling surveillance footage from nearby bars. On one grainy camera, they found it, a woman matching Amy's description leaving the bar around sunset. She walked quickly toward a dark SUV parked on the side street. Moments later, it drove off without headlights. The footage was too blurry for confirmation, but enough for investigators to quietly reopen parts of the case. For the first time in years, Amy's name was back in active FBI discussions. Interpol was notified, and whispers spread that this time, the trail might lead somewhere real. Amy Lynn Bradley would be 50 years old today. Her parents, Ron and Iva, still believe she's alive. Somewhere out there, waiting for help. Every March, they light a candle on their porch and pray she'll find her way home. Her case remains one of the most disturbing disappearances at sea, a story of silence, power, and a family's unbroken hope. Because sometimes the ocean doesn't swallow people. Sometimes it hides them. And maybe Amy is still out there.